In the last couple of videos, we've been going through different attitude scales, from graphic rating scales and itemized rating scales to having multiple of those and calling it a Likert scale, to purchase intent scales, rank order, Q sorting, paired comparison, constant sum, and semantic differential. So let's wrap up our discussion on scales by talking about how we select a scale. Somewhere are the slides. All right. So the first thing we need to consider is the nature of our construct. What is the scope of the research? What are our research objectives? Going back to what is the management decision problem we are trying to solve? What decisions or actions will come of this information? So is it transactional? Are we measuring the perceptions that people have of some interaction they've had with an organization? Is it relational? Are we trying to measure general satisfaction with an organization? What is it you're trying to get at? And to expand this even further than marketing research, in terms of research in general, what are the attitudes, the opinions you're trying to understand, and what will you do with them? So, for example, in the scholarship of teaching and learning, we do surveys of students about what they think helps them learn and what they enjoy. So I'll just show you an example of a survey that I've used. So we were doing a study to look at what students think helps them learn and what they enjoy. And so you can see here we have strongly agree to strongly disagree. So an itemized rating scale. We have quite a list here. And we're not going to treat it as a Likert scale in terms of the full formal version of a Likert scale, because these are all not phrases or statements related to the same thing. Instead, it is just an itemized rating scale because they are statements about different things, right? So the first one's about homework, the second's about reading the textbook, then assignments. And so for each of those, we're trying to see what you thought helped you learn. And then we have a 5-point scale here. We also have the option to choose not to answer if you don't use that at all, because we don't want to hear from you about how helpful homework is if you never do it, right? It has to be an informed opinion. And here we have statements about what you enjoy in class, strongly agree to strongly disagree, and it is the same statements that you saw up here. The reason that we do that with this itemized scale is then we can see, okay, well, who likes to do homework? Who enjoys homework? Who thinks homework is helpful for them to learn? Can we identify cohorts, groups of students based on what they enjoy and how they like to learn? So now we're getting into more a cluster analysis, which we'll have some videos on later, to identify groups of students based on what they like and enjoy. Can we also find correlation? So those who are more likely to like homework, do they also enjoy it more? So you like it because you enjoy it. Do you think it helps you learn more because you like it, or you enjoy it or like it because it helps you learn, right? So we can look at correlation in these as well. So we first need to figure out what it is that we are actually trying to accomplish with the questions we're going to ask so that we can start designing those questions. Are we trying to simply measure general satisfaction with something? Are we trying to measure perceptions of interaction, so an event or an item? What is it we're trying to get at? Are you looking at a product, a service, an organization, how happy people are with certain salespeople, customer service? What is it you're trying to get at? Then we need to look at the type of scale. So we in our videos talked about, right, nominal, ordinal, interval ratio, the different types of attitude scales. So what is most appropriate for our construct, for what we're trying to get to? So are we looking at preferences? Are we going to be asking about those opinions over the phone? You can't use Q sorting to sort photos if this is going to be something that is surveyed over the phone. So how you're going to do your sampling will also impact that. It's also very difficult, for example, the constant sum scale where they have to allocate the points or the money. Doesn't work very well unless you have paper in front of you. You got to be able to see it and work it out. So those are important things to recognize. We want something that's going to be easy to construct. We want something that's going to be easy to analyze. If the analysis is too complicated, we tend to avoid it, like semantic differential scales. Looking for those patterns can be difficult. Although as we get to AI, machine learning, we can have the computer identify those patterns rather than us try to do it. But what is the easiest to both create, have the respondent answer, for us to analyze, and for us to summarize what it means to our stakeholders? When we're reporting our findings, can we actually translate it back into something that would inform a decision? So we want to select the type of question based on that ease of constructing, person filling out, us analyzing, us providing that summary. We also want to make sure that it is a scale and the options we choose for those are what reflects customers or the respondents, whoever those people are filling out our survey. So that's why when we come back to like face validity, make sure that all the options that you need are there. Is what people are looking for when they fill out the survey, are those actual choices that they have, right? And if we go back, I'm going to super scroll here. Back. Even further back. All right. So remember, face validity, we want to make sure that we had all the ages if we were asking a question about age. And content validity, that if people are looking for different things that reflect here, Shoppers Drug's image, that those are all options that they can choose from. That there isn't a key piece of the content that's missing. Okay. Go back. Too far. All right, so we need to consider what we're going to do with this, the nature of the construct, the type of scale that's appropriate. Do we need them to compare to things? Then we need to, if we're going to do a scale, like a Likert scale or an itemized rating scale, is it going to be balanced or unbalanced? So if you think about a 5-point scale and neutral is in the middle, we got 2 good on one side and 2 negative on the other. That is a balanced scale. But what if you assume that everyone is going to be giving you positive feedback? So no one hates the YMCA. The YMCA's image is outstanding, very good, good, fair, poor. So notice how it is shifted. It's unbalanced in that question because we expect all the responses to be generally positive. And we're just trying to get to how positive. So if you have reason to believe that all the responses will be all positive or all negative, you can make the question unbalanced. But make sure that that's an informed decision, that there really is a reason to think that their responses are going to be skewed that way. Because remember, if people can't find the response they're looking for or feel like it doesn't represent how they actually feel, then they're not going to have a good experience and want to participate in research in the future. We need to decide if it's balanced or unbalanced. We also have to decide how many points are on that scale. Is it 5 points? Is it 7 points? Make sure that you have enough to measure the intensity of people's feelings. So good, bad, and neutral is usually not enough. So 3-point scale is not what you do. But too many points, a 10-point scale, becomes, can I even tell the difference between what it means to be a 3 or a 4 on that scale? And can the researcher even do anything? Is there really a difference between how the company would respond if they got a 3 average or a 4 average on a rating scale question? So typically we stick to 5 or 7. That allows for a neutral in between, which brings us to this last piece here, which is forced versus non-forced choice. Do you want to force them to have an opinion? The benefit of having that neutral option in the middle is that if they truly don't have an opinion, they are allowed to pick something that represents how they truly feel. The other thing you might want to consider is having a don't know or an NA, like you can see in these questions, where if they don't even know anything about the topic, you didn't screen them out by having a question to see if it was relevant to them first. So if they came to this question and they had never done this, they don't know what that is, they haven't experienced it. So for example, let's suppose that I always get my food to go at the restaurant. So was the wait staff at the restaurant friendly or unfriendly? Well, I don't know. I walk in the door, tell them my name, and they hand me my package and I get out. So I haven't really dealt with the waiters. So I can't answer this question. And if you force me to choose, it may not reflect how it really is. So I could be neutral, or you could give me the chance to say, I don't know, in which case I am essentially removed from answering the question. And so it's not like I'm saying that they're not good or not bad. I'm just simply saying I'm not informed enough to make a decision or to provide you information. So it removes them entirely from that question and then allows a different group who thinks, well, they weren't unfriendly, they weren't friendly, so then they would pick that center option. And then those who truly have an opinion and have experienced the wait staff, they would choose friendly or unfriendly in one of those directions. So you can have both, the neutral and the not applicable or don't know, to both address the people who have experienced it but don't have strong emotions, and those who have not experienced it at all from influencing it. So something to consider as you build your scale. If you make it so that you have, let's say, choices 1, 2, or 3, you are forcing them to say whether it's friendly or unfriendly, and you're forcing them to have an opinion and have a more positive or negative opinion when they either don't have an opinion or they don't even know enough to form that opinion. So be careful about that. But if you need to force them to have an opinion, so you remove the neutral, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, make sure you still have that NA or don't know for those who truly don't know enough to be informed to make the decision. But typically you'll see we have, like you can see on this survey here, a 1 through 5 and an NA. Okay, and that allows for there to be no forced choice. You make a choice that reflects either you didn't have the experience, you don't have an opinion, or you do have an opinion. Okay, so we're selecting a scale. We need to know forced versus non-forced. How many scales? Is it going to be balanced? And we want to make sure that whichever scale we choose, it reflects how customers make their decisions or how respondents know about that information, have an opinion about it. And so the choices and the decisions they're making are reflected in the type of question you're asking, and then ultimately ties to what your organization can do with the information collected.